I hope you've all watched the Legends recently, because by necessity, I'm going to be talking over them a lot. Stream should take roughly an hour, so the new video premiere will start soon after. Theoretically, when I end this stream, you'll be automatically redirected to the premiere. So, without further ado, let's get this thing started. I don't need to hit any of the buttons. No, so I'm just starting on the playlist here with Legends the Smith. How quiet is this?
In the early days
Oh, no.
of the
Okay,
world,
let's play.
the villages of men were as
I like this graphic here right away. The map actually looks pretty good for how early I was in my art journey. In fact, this whole video, honestly, this was my effort to sort of art above my current level, and I think I sort of did. Like the designs for the Smith and that aren't great. The use of clip art is yeah, I don't like it anymore. I did what I could. And all the individual things in this video, for the most part, look pretty good. So, yeah, we've got the map. We've got the friendly woodsman. I like his beard has got a little bit of a Babylonian Sumerian sort of whoa. His abs have a I have abs sort of look, but he's got this slightly Sumerian sort of bearded look. Wow, okay, this is very, very quiet for me. The problem is I don't want it to get sound to get doubled up and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm just gonna play music in the background for these early videos that don't have it.
To fight a man like Smith, and so he told Smith that living alone in the wild, friends with a powerful spirit. If the woodsman fell
honestly, when this thing gets going, I think the action looks incredibly dynamic, given that the frame rate is 2 of what I'm animating. I actually did a pretty good job. These glows are horrible, though. I used glows a lot when I was early on because they looked cool to me or something. I don't know. Look at those sparks. Isn't that...
After 1 minute,
they're fighting as well as they possibly can at a frame rate of 2.
To his shield knocked the man to one knee. The woodsman declared that he had won, though he sounded quite disappointed.
Declared that he was won, quite disappointed. I really like the oral mythology repetition aspect of this thing. This was, in fact, I think, the very first legend told at the table, because I was told by the old man at the side of the road in, one of the first episodes.
So they fought again.
It was told just like this at the table. Pick some strange colors for those glows.
Fought much harder this time, and even grazed a woodsman's weapon arm.
You can tell what's happening though. He hit him with the shield and knocked his chin up. That was good stuff.
Such that Smith landed on his hands and knees.
Declared that he had won. It is a little bit embarrassing. He's supposed to be a hero, but he's forced into these sadder and sadder word tricks to try and no, I haven't lost yet. Smith was embarrassed. Okay, he's not proud of that stuff. It's important though. That spirit that I keep showing. I'm not so happy with the spirit part of it. Okay, but on the other hand, if you realize that, okay, that is a cool shot when his strike, it gets blocked, but the shockwave knocks down all the trees. That's some anime stuff right there. No, this spirit that the woodsman keeps talking about, whenever you see it, it looks kind of terrible, but it was like an homage to the god thing at the end of Star Trek V. It was like a fake-ass looking spirit for a fake-ass god.
And Smith said nothing. Dejected.
A pretty good traction. Again, this was I should have looked up the dates. This is at least 5 years ago, probably 6 or 7 years ago. And my art has mostly improved a lot in the meantime. But this one actually looked really good.
Danger to his lands and to his people would somehow find him first, or would strike when he was near at hand.
Yeah, that's some hero twist around that as a hero he wants all the dangers to come to him first. He'd rather like every danger to his kingdom have to go through him, because that's the only way that he really trusts that he can protect his people. There's basically nothing in the way of credits on this one either, so it's gonna jump like immediately into the next video. That was good. All the like not specific about whether it's Marduk and stuff like that. It's probably Marduk. Okay. This video, the death equation, this is a solid legend, okay? I think the story is good, it's good world building, and it's good, like, this is pretty decent legend. But the video here, the reason I put a mini in the title, called it Legends Mini, I had no idea, no big vision for the art. This is like the only Legends video where I didn't have like some great, oh, I'm gonna make this look great. I was like, no, I have this is a good story. I'm starting a Legends series. I'm gonna tell this, that's great. But I just had no idea for the visuals, and I just slapped together whatever to show it, much like a TDDC episode. I kind of like how Moradin's shield, like, normally I'm against the clip art, but Moradin's shield, just using actual, like, picture of rock for the texture, that's kind of cool. May 2013. Someone in Esved Banal in chat is saying that video was May 2013. That is 8 million years ago. 8 years ago. That is a long-ass time. Holy shit. It took a while for TDDC episodes to look as good as Legends the Smith. So the series was doing its job of being like the premier, like the fancy version of like of my videos, except this one. Although Lil Ball is pretty cute. Cute. Yeah, very overdramatic narration in this one, which you probably can't hear on this stream because I had to turn down. Greatness, to military dominance, and to mass slaughter. Ball turned out to be the smart one. She gave just a little bit. Lolth looks disturbing. I keep going back and forth on whether that's like a good thing or a bad thing, because like Lolth kind of should look disturbing, and mission accomplished. Chibi Lolth looks disturbing. What is going on? Yeah, just beam that power into your progeny and stuff. But yeah. Oh yeah, and we had Tiamat. I had to figure out how many dragon heads I could cram in, because visually it'd be hard to cram in more dragon heads than this. But I had to get like at least 6 to give a good diversity of them, so it didn't look like she was just a Hydra, right? And I have 3, what's supposed to be 3 metallic and 3 chromatic there. I really should have made one of them like a blue dragon though, so it'd be more colorful with the red body in it. I don't know. The main body, if you just take the red dragon part of Tiamat, kind of reminds me of Dragon from like, this is old. There was an old movie that was like, I don't know, it was a cartoon movie where, like a Western movie that was what we'd call an isekai now, where the protagonist got dumped into a fantasy world, and he had to defeat the villain with math. That main body of Tiamat kind of looks like this big dragon thing at the end of that movie. Yeah, Tiamat's greed must have all the shiny. Oh man. I had absolutely no idea what Palor should look like, and no motivation, so another hood. Why not? Oh man. Yeah. Don't strain yourselves. And some of the people who do the TDDC wiki, tddc.fandom. Whatever. If you search tddc.fandom or TDDC wiki, you'll probably find it. Some of the people who do the wiki are on here. Don't stress yourself out trying to sort out things that happened in clearly mythological time. Trying to, like, just put those events in order is probably not going to work out for you. It's probably not possible to be sorted out. I'm not saying that mythological time was quantum, but it's... a bunch of the legends seem to intersect, and You might try and figure out the order, and it probably doesn't make sense, which is fine with me. It's not that important. Yeah, fight that random hood guy with shoulders that is supposed to be Palor, because, spoilers, Palor's not going to be seen again, so who cares? At least the hoods with, like, Ayun and Vecna, they have, like, their symbol inside the hood, which also makes no sense, but in the abstraction of the video is okay.
But Palor was erased from the universe, and she reveled in the power of his domains, healing and the sun, all hers as their essence.
Finally got the sun!
But her triumph was short-lived.
She's all weak and like... I hope the staticky background stuff isn't bad for people with epilepsy. The new video that I'm premiering today has an epilepsy warning at the start for people with photosensitive epilepsy, because there's some flashing stuff that I think would probably trigger epilepsy. I'm hoping it in this video isn't, like, problematic.
For obvious reasons, Tiamat refused to tell him, and so he began.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, this video is just so slapped together. I like Delvash's symbol though. The squares that are offset. It's this weird sort of orderly but kind of disturbing shape, which works pretty well. Just keep reusing the same mediocre animations again and again and again. I like how Delvash, as he absorbs more domains, he starts having all this stuff sticking out of him. He can try and hide it with his hood, but, like, deep down he keeps getting uglier and more grotesque, even though he's an abstract cube guy. You know, the Tiamat tied to a stone, actually, that's pretty evocative, even though, like, the art style doesn't help it. That's, like, a very mythological image. Think of, like, Prometheus being bound to the stone or something. Oh, you want the sun, but you cannot have the sun! It burns! Sun burns. Yeah, Bessie, I also like the way Delvash's head rotates. Again, it's just that make it more disturbing.
Delvash has not used its sense, though it is difficult to say what he is waiting for.
Delvash. Yeah, that's the one. That's like inspired by Alpha from Men in Black, where he's got all this different stuff sticking out of him. He's got, like, the dragon heads and the spikes, and he's got all that, like, crazy stuff. It's inspired by a character from the Men in Black cartoon series, and presumably the original comics. Agent Alpha, who just, like, found a piece of alien technology that let you just, like, absorb powers from other species, and just, like, oh, I guess that's what I am now, and just went around absorbing all the aliens. Yeah, we end with the eyes. Why? Because I thought the eyes looked good. I don't know. I didn't have a better plan. That one, yeah. It's hard to talk about, because the story kind of speaks for itself, and the production was meh. But now, I gotta stop the extra background music, because this video actually has music for the first time. Angel's Master. Right from the start, you get this really weird shot that probably doesn't make any sense to you the first time you watch it. But there we go. Okay, we've got Kuan Patrol. So we start out here, we have the very simplified style. Because I was 100%, this is my early efforts to try and emulate a Samurai Jack type style. And I'm never gonna get up to their level, because to make something look that simple, they actually have to be experts at proportion and movement and stuff like that. Fantastic artists. But this did an okay job of telling the story I wanted to tell in the first half of the video, though. It's got the music and the silent thing going on. The very simple little hoods, but Angel's eyes are more expressive here than in actual TDDC. Doesn't get a lot of expression in TDDC because I'm just, like, slapping those images in. Whereas Angel 4A3 or whatever I call the stupid file name, just slap it in and keep moving. And you got this commander sleeping there. All this shadowy crud. If you can tell what is going on, then I succeeded with this scene. Because that was the only... it looks ugly, but I was just trying to... Can I please make it so that it looks like it's all in shadow, but people can still make out what's going on? Like, Angel tried to garrote him with her spike chain. He got his sword up in time so that she wasn't quite, like, killing him with it, but he was stuck there struggling, and then Master just comes up, stab, finish it. We got the explosive balls, which is foreshadowing. Gotta do that foreshadowing. It's a very short video, but foreshadowing is a brilliant technique, because that means when he shows those balls later, you know what they are. And now you see this image again, and you're like, what? That's the thing from the start. What was going on here? Just a bunch of shadows. Nice sunset, or sunrise, I guess. And, oh, the silhouette. Uh-oh. That's a speed port. That's never a good sign. Detail level has increased now.
So, are you coming
out? It's a talkie. Silent video up to this point. There were some people that commented that they didn't like it when it was silent, but like, oh, there is talking. Okay, I'm down with this now. Some people were very certain that if I make a video, it should involve talking, which is probably true.
It's not just a monitor.
I like doing the voice work too. He explains, in case anyone doesn't know, how you tell the difference between a death fin and a regular monitor.
Did you fight him, or just blow him up?
This guy is incredibly full of himself. He's got his symbols all over the place. He's got the death fin cufflinks. In addition to having the death fin symbol and his like monastery symbol on his jacket.
Soldiers to capture and hold territory.
I'm not sure. I probably don't have those symbols correctly flipped. Like asymmetric stuff. Yeah, War Swords, remembering how frustrated I was with how long this one took. I was frustrated with how long this took. It took a long time. Not as bad as the red sash. That is a great scene.
That is the funniest thing.
I'm very happy with that scene. The silhouettes, the like Nightmare Before Christmas looking like teeth he's got going on. He's talking. Dodges all these things, and then like, wait, what? What? He's so amused. The whole world looks like it's burned down behind him. Sweet stuff.
Let's see how well you fight without your speed enchantments.
Zipinel is now posting in chat the year for all these videos. This was February 2016. Oh man. No, this is not a bad fight. You can tell what's going on all through this scene. He pulls out the bombs. They were foreshadowed, so you know those are explosives. And then, oh, we've got the VHS like rewind. Click. Like the little click as he pulls those things out of the air.
It does take sorcery to move like I do. But you
I'm very, very fast.
I can still
say something in my own language, and then I immediately give the translation because I know you're fools who don't speak Kuar.
I said I would let you live long enough.
Oh, that is some coincidence that he that he discarded the hand right in front of Angel, just because the universe likes drama, I guess. I like his martial arts pose there too. Like poses. Actually manipulating like the movement of figures instead of having one angle for each figure is something that I don't do often, and it obviously makes it better.
You run your mouth pretty fast.
I do still use a lot of like gradients instead of proper shading, which I probably shouldn't do. It's kind of my style now almost, but
pardon, I didn't catch that last part.
Yeah, that special effect there, and I forgot to amend, like, at some point, most of his lip syncing stopped. That, plus that crappy fire effect, is why I called this video rough. Why I wanted to, like, go back and fix that. People just interpreted that to be the master's name forever. I have not given him a name. But, he's probably stuck with rough for most people anyway, regardless of what I say. It's just its own thing now. And Willie, next episode will probably be 2 months because it's going to have a bunch of action and stuff too. It's just how it goes. 2 months for this video, 2 months for the episode.
Was not a woodsman. She tromped through the forest with the
This one,
hand axe because her crone
this is a good story.
had announced that they needed
You could
firewood.
argue I should have imported it
Kindly but aging
into
father
my
had gone
setting.
along with it, as
But
he always did. And so the young woman slowly circled the
despite
edge
how
of their
long this
cabin's
video
clearing,
took,
looking for
it doesn't
the
have a
easiest
lot
tree to
going
fell.
on
There
visually,
was that one tree
except
back
her
behind the
facial
house, which was
expressions.
long dead.
His facial expressions are pretty simple, but they're actually very expressive, and I mean, it took more time than you would think it would, more time than it would take a competent person to. It's kind of like lip syncing the way I used her expressions.
Making it a perfect match for the least
But, like,
suitable woman she had ever seen.
I'm impressed every time.
It may even smell funny when it burns.
I'm not impressed by that one. That one's just a joke. But I'm impressed all the time by her facial expressions because she's so goddamn expressive despite the simplicity of her face, or maybe because of it. Oh, that's not good. That is not the result you ever want when you hit a tree.
Repulsive little mortal, you dare attack my home. Each horse
I like that it
burst
calls her
into
repulsive.
bursting
An
bubbles
ugly
such
bag
that
of
the
mostly
ooze
water.
boiled.
It's very inspired. Its look is very inspired. First off, it's just want it to look creepy.
Please don't, Puddle.
I like that black puddle spreading out beneath it. But this thing's kind of inspired by that tar creature that, spoilers for Star Trek The Next Generation, like, killed Tasha Yar for no reason.
My hag of a stepmother. You know, I'm already suffering every... No. I know more than you can imagine.
The pulsing, bubbling speech is pretty good. That's pretty good, actually.
And you wanted to finish your task.
The transparent is weird,
Least
but
amount of work.
it's a flashback to like 30 seconds ago. Just falls through darkness and then suddenly it's blinding out here.
Then it began crawling away, but the ooze bubbled up like
See, the thing about this video is it took a couple months, but it actually, that wasn't too bad. I had the story written before. Part of the 2 months this thing took, I was I was actually working on the next one, the red sash. But I spent a whole lot, like weeks, creating all these characters for the red sash. I realized, oh man, this project's gonna take way more than 2 months. Like, I need to do a video now. I need to get a video out. And I switched over to this one, which came out very well.
A grain of sand. 1, 2. But as she dropped the second grain of sand, she could no longer tell which was the first one, and so she picked up another and counted.
Counting sand, very, very classic sort of mythological, like, punishment. That part's not original at all. I like to think my take on it is a little bit more original. I like the way the story goes. It's neat.
2. Then
like,
counted and lost track and counted many times.
Counting,
then
like, desert
rolled over and took a sip
big.
of water, which had pooled at the bottom of the copper bowl. The water was clean, but was warmed to almost body temperature by the heating sun, such that as much as her parched mouth...
That feels very weird. You ever, like, you're, like, thirsty, and you go to drink the water at, like, a sports meet or something like that, and it's warmed up to, like, room temperature, so it feels like you're drinking nothing?
And got over 200 before accidentally shifting her posture a little, causing several of the little specks to tumble down into the desert. She got back up to 61 when she thought of a better idea. What the demon had said was not exactly true. She could stop counting for a moment.
She tilts her head, and it's like she's saying so much, even though she has no dialogue. Getting impressed with myself.
But by that time, the compulsion overwhelmed her. She began counting.
Tearing up the fabric looks not bad for the style. Sand looks okay for that. There's a glitch at one point later on where the side of her pants that's ripped flips, I think, when she's flying through the air. But I tried real hard to keep track of it.
Not wanting to have to start over. And it was only then when it truly sank in that or even a very long task.
That realization hurts. Like, it's obvious, but just imagine when it hits you. Because you
finally took time to think about
10 minutes ago, she was just walking in her backyard trying to cut down a tree. Suddenly you're in this impossible situation, and it just hits you like, this is your life now.
No matter which direction she
the desert's actually panning in the background. I created a very wide scene to get, like, things moving.
3,429. 3,429.
Wow.
3,429. She repeated, trying not to lose count between sips as she drank from the water bowl. Sitting down once
She's
more,
still trying to
the
keep
growing
count,
pile
'cause
of
she just
counted
doesn't know what
grains.
else to do.
She added another, then another, when a gust of wind blew across the land. In a futile and
The blowing
belated
hair
gesture,
does not
she tried
look
to
great.
cover her pile, but
It's
no
not
use.
bad.
At least a few
for
of
the
the
sound.
coarse grains tumbled down the side.
Oh, that
off the
facial
plotted
expression.
Square, and there was no way to be certain how many. In frustration, Bennett
Some
lifted
some
her
days
off and
life
flung
just
away
feels
off the
like
sand,
this.
removed the torn pant leg to wipe the sweat from her
Oh my
brow.
god,
She laid
her
three
face
grains
is
of
just
sand on her
made
leg
for
and counted the
memes.
same three again
Oh.
and again, while she tried to think of more
I bet you
rational
could make some
solution.
awesome ass
I need
memes
to
out
get
of this
of
thing.
here. Maybe if I reach the edge, I can take a handful of sand with me and
I don't know what memes
spend
I would
the
make,
rest of my life doing other
but I
things
just
at that
realized her
time.
face is made for
First convinced that
memes.
somehow, well, at least I wouldn't be alone in the heart of a desert. Maybe there would be shade. So she picked up the bowl in one hand and 3 grains of sand in the palm of her
Well,
other
yeah.
and began walking.
I think
She had
that
no
bowl,
idea where she was.
that
so
bowl
she
is
just
awesome.
picked a direction where the sun wasn't in her eyes and walked. But she only got a few
She's never
steps. As she walked, those little specks of sand grew heavier.
Yeah, no,
and
the
heavier.
visual, like this video has so little art in it, other than
Fine, she
her
said,
face,
on her
but it
hands and knees,
actually
she
does a
counted
surprising
the
amount
road
with that
slowly
very little.
across the land, against
I'll just
the
sit around and be
sound of
impressed with
the
myself.
waves.
That makes for a good
1,
commentary, right?
2, 1, 2, 1,
What?
1, 2. It's true that Bennett had not been looking where she was going. Sliding along
It's like,
on
that's
one elbow
not
and 2
good.
knees, trying not to spill the precious contents of the slowly refilling copper bowl while remaining balanced and counting with the remaining
He
hand.
explains it,
Well, it
too.
took all her concentration, and she was tiring quickly from the effort. So she fell over, lost count, and spilled a half-hour worth
Watch
of
her
accumulated
eyes.
water when she bumped into...
Watch her eyes.
Actually, she wasn't sure what she had bumped into. Looking up, she became
Sorry,
less
I was
sure.
jumping the gun there a little early.
Where
Watch
is
her eyes.
Tactics?
Wait. Did she just break the fourth wall there?
Bennett
I don't
had
know.
heard the name, yet somehow she knew it was the black demon from the tree. After cursing me, it disappeared into the sand back that way. 1, 2. I see. You are the most fortunate of mortals.
Most
today.
fortunate of
For,
mortals. This is
like
my Jonas Venture
Pentaxis,
Jr.
I did.
imitation.
It is an old
If
enemy
you've
of
seen
mine.
Venture Brothers,
Since you clearly spited him
I'm
in
also
some
proud of that.
trivial fashion,
It's such a fun
I will
voice
fight him further
that just
by
now,
breaking
if
your
Reach
curse.
and shit
But
just talk like
know
that.
my assistance
They just
has
talk
a
like that now.
price. What must I do, Master Jin? 1, 2. Do nothing. You need simply accept my bargain. I will break the curse.
Is her
but
pant
in
leg on the right
exchange,
side?
half of
I think her
your
pant
life
leg's
will be
already
going
on the
to
wrong
me.
side. I probably did a
Or
terrible
you
job
can
of keeping track.
refuse and
Yeah,
spend
that's
your
not.
entire mortal life
That's the wrong
counting
pant leg.
sand.
God damn it.
In my
Stuck
desert.
forever.
Now, a day ago, had you asked Bennett if she would ever give up half her life in some demonic bargain, she would have laughed in your face.
Laughter.
But
Oh, that happy
and the not so
go lucky
implied
like
threat
Bennett
she
from
would
like
become
half an hour
unwanted
ago.
guest should she refuse, irritating this second powerful being. Bennett nodded quickly. I accept your bargain, Master Jin.
Yes, please Deus Ex me out of this
Excellent.
pillar of
Behold.
sand. Behold my crappy wind effects. Now, honestly, I still don't know how to draw
Thank
wind
you,
well.
But then she felt
not
a familiar
obvious.
pull. But I'm still cursed. She dropped to her knees and counted another.
That's a
couple
kick in
grains
the
dismay.
teeth.
2. The pillar too seemed at a loss for words. I am unable to break the curse.
The pillar has no
This
face.
is
I'm like, how do you express things with a pillar?
Bennett felt
Even in the written version, but
for a moment,
it
she
gets
thought she was
smaller
free, that her
when he's
unimaginable
thinking, when he's
dreams
less
had been
confident.
lifted. Now she felt foolish for believing
think it's great.
another demon, and the prospect of a lifetime of meaningless counting seemed somehow even worse after having hope. Was this but
That's
another
been all
sick
Deus
joke
Ex
by that
Silica.
black monster?
Yeah,
But the
yeah,
Jedi,
that.
which
good
had
call.
previously treated the whole
Look how
situation
tiny it
as
is.
little more than a game, now seemed to demonstrate very real dismay. What can I do?
What can
What can I do to fix this? 1, 2. Have you taken half my life then? Even though you didn't cure me? No,
No.
not yet. I've not met my end of the bargain. But it seems that I cannot. That Penataxix has learned some vulgar curse that even I
Penataxix.
cannot unravel. I have to free you somehow.
the technicalities.
Right.
If I give you a boon that would allow you to escape the curse yourself, would you accept that? Would you consider my bargain to have been kept?
Nearly
Hey,
anyone.
Cuseraton in the chat asking, why do her eyes go from blue to purple for some frames? Because I'm colorblind. I literally can't tell the difference. I obviously didn't copy it properly, or I must have used the color picker or something. That's why. So colorblind.
Or was it Ginny? 1, 2.
Meaningless mortal words. We're of the same ilk.
Demons must follow certain rules, must they not?
It's funny how much the technicality matters to it, whether, because he promised he would cure her, and now he can't cure her directly.
We do not lie, and we do not break our word, mortal. I am losing patience. Will you accept my boon, and you're breaking the curse?
There's a power dynamic here as...
Then what would happen to you if I do not accept your compromise?
Power dynamic has shifted.
The wind swirled ferociously, sand whipping around, tearing at Bennett's clothing and scraping her skin.
Oh yeah, yeah, because now it's a pillar measuring contest.
What she risked was not the life she had before, but rather the
do what
life
I say,
of the sand
mortal.
counter.
I'm very
And Bennett was willing
important.
to bet that life that this Jinn was bluffing. 1, 2.
Stop that in
The hair blowing in the wind, not great, but
Master Jinn.
it's
If
forgivable
you grant
under
this
the
boon,
circumstances.
And it indeed allows me to escape my curse. Then you transport me safely.
Would have
to
taken
the
a lot
edge of
more
romance.
animation to make it
I will
look
accept
decent.
That as fulfillment in full of your bargain with me, but I will keep my life as my own.
You dare to command me?
The winds grew louder. The
Sky
howling
goes
near
dark.
deafening.
Behind the
Bennett
crappy wind
noticed that
effects.
The sands blowing against her skin grew no more abrasive, and nowhere did the scratches or scrapes draw any blood. Not command. Bargain.
It seems like when
If
he's
you
bargaining,
accept
he
my
can't
terms, 1,
now that he's started to bargain, he
then
can't
I know
just
exactly
kill the
what it
mortal
means
and be
for
done
me.
with it.
I'm
Is the
afraid
impression I
have
get.
No comprehension of
Interesting.
what it means for you, but those are my terms.
She's got a lot of
Very
chutzpah.
well.
I like the pillar dissolving
I
in the
will
wind
teach
effect.
you to count like a djinn.
That part looks good. Choke on that sand.
1, 2, 3. Nothing has changed?
Of course.
Yeah,
not.
Ganorath,
You
making
count
an
like a
inanimate
fool.
object
But now
expressive
you can
is an
count as
interesting
Jimmy.
challenge.
Think of the number of grains of sand in this desert. But how many are there?
And then it spoke a number. It was a number so large that she had never learned or even heard of such a number.
How many peasants have even heard of the word million, let alone
Once it
however
was
many
said,
goddamn grains of
her
sand there
task
are?
was completed, and she needed
With
count
medieval
no
peasants.
more. Thank you,
Probably not
Master
much.
Jin. Your power is truly impressive.
It is a great boon. Have I not met
I like that she's smart
my
enough that she knows to
Almost,
suck up.
Master Jin. You have only to transport me safely beyond your realm, and I will deem our agreement complete.
Starting to move. Dissolve. She grabs that bowl! You saw it. She grabbed that bowl. That was a smart move. If her story had continued, that was very important. Across the desert. That looks pretty good too, despite the fact that her torn pant leg keeps changing sides. Look at the crappy trees.
I have done all that you asked, mortal.
And my life?
I have given you a great deal and
Yeah, what would
taken
happen if the
nothing
bargain was broken?
from you.
Bad stuff.
My first offer was generous, despite my enemy. That which you have now received has cost me, and you should be most grateful and humble.
Look at that
And
lens
you will
flare
be
effect.
wise
I
not
just
to
found the
leave
lens
me
flare
dead.
effect in
I am
Premiere.
most grateful, Master Jin.
I think I've tried to use it
If
since and I
all
don't
is you
remember
say,
how.
that I hold
It doesn't
your
work
bargain with me to have
intuitively.
been fulfilled in full, and that you owe me nothing more.
Probably better that I don't
am
start lens
honored to
flaring
have
everything.
met
It made sense here
You were
to make it
eloquent
deserty
in
and
victory,
bright sun,
mortal.
but like normally
I would
not a
like
lot
to
of use
see
for
how
lens
polite
flares.
you are when you lose.
It doesn't be. It would look so plain without it in this like empty background. God, those are terrible trees. Like yeah, she fixed it. That's kind of a good thematic. Look at this! Back when the organization could fit on a single page. Pericles, Tyranno MCG, Sarosh, Lord Abel, Zombie, Sildari, Kendrick, and Kurt. Early members of the organization way back before Operation Unemployment. They were helping me pay for my massive and unreasonable Adobe fees. So appreciated. And here we get the red sash. So that video took 2 months, but a chunk of it was spent actually working on the character designs for this. Then this still took 6 months! 6
He explained that he had been stripped of his lands.
Bring in the gif of the Joker from Dark Knight.
For transgressions he had not committed. The evidence fabricated by a rival.
Character designs have a style. They look okay. Like, the maps don't look great. Sir tried. I cheaped out on the throne room here, too. The throne room at this point should have a lot more motifs of the Three Brothers nations. It should have a lot of this very similar iconography to what you see in the courtroom in Vistria, in Tales from My D&D campaign, episodes in, like, the 20s or something. But I only did the throne room once because it's got, like, moving parts. So I made it so it's all got those red banners which Devonis adopted later on. Important context, if you haven't watched the epilogue to this video, which you should really watch because it's got all the lore stuff. This, despite being 50 minutes long, not much lore. The epilogue, tons of great lore. The important context is Devonis here is a mortal incarnation of Delvash, who sent him, who, like, incarnated himself to go and enact this grand plan to basically conquer the world for his religion, unite it under a lawful empire of evil. That rider looks cool. Very interesting look for some reason. Bizarre amount of creative effort into something that showed up for like 2 seconds of this video.
And fewer still were willing to stand up and argue for the birthright of the king's.
But yeah, all those banners should. I think they still red was the color for.
Devonis was as humble as ever during the ceremony.
I'm blanking on the name of the country because I suck. But anyway, those banners would be like red, but they'd have all the crests of the Three Brother nations.
The difficult negotiations with Gargama.
Notice he gets appointed heir by King.
Baron had to be recalled early though.
And then
a week later,
he goes off.
Had taken ill. Within a month,
he goes off to his alibi, meeting with the quote-unquote barbarians, while the king takes ill. Conveniently comes back for a throne, and then, he was just entreating with them. Why are the barbarians fighting now? I wonder.
But the Karhai, led by Gargama the Cyclops, attacked the
I did try and give them some Arctic indigenous peoples sort of style going on.
The Vinhai elders tried to
not like really not authentic to any particular people, but I did my best.
Gargama's scouts caught and killed their messengers, and the hulking one-eyed man had no interest in
Gargama. I used a portrait as the basis for that face. He's got a very interesting face, actually. In addition to being just a gigantic guy for no reason.
The women of the Vinhai were no weaklings, though. For they too were nomadic hunters of the north.
I like that I showed that I have the different skin tones. Again, I'm colorblind. I tried my best to pick out like different skin tones so that they were sort of that the people weren't ethnically like
and their battle became legend.
One group.
But
they have different like garb and facial markings so you can tell who's in what tribe. It's not by their like skin color.
He would be a duke in the Winter Palace.
Man, did I cheap out on that fight. I was like, this is going to take forever anyway. I do not have art budget to do a good fight between them. And also, because the script was written as like a story, not like a video script, it kind of blows past this fight too fast to do a really good fight.
His sash was forever stained. And from then on, both friend and foe named him Hinze, the Red Sash. Meanwhile, ruling from
Hinze looks pretty cool.
King Devonis seemed a man.
Oh, happy Devonis turns into not amused Devonis. Get that very nice, like, Winter Palace throne there. Like, I had to do this compromise between the full detail Winter Palace and simplifying it so to be different, but still look like the Winter Palace. This is one of those when I have like a story being shown in like a historic sense, I like to find some like basically Photoshop filter to make it look like a different medium. So I did that like ancient tapestry.
And met the king to discuss them, seeking to
understand. What's her name? Countess something that I talked over.
And Devonis was charming, reassuring.
Unfortunately, she was too smart for her own good.
To allay her concerns, and she returned to her castle and immediately arranged for the former king's young.
Tells her everything she wanted to hear. She goes back and immediately sends off the kid because there is something really wrong with that guy. She could just sense it.
But while young Monorail escaped, the Duchess died.
Interesting, there's an elf with like
3
that
months later.
very distinctive glowing halberd for some reason. There's an odd detail to
And the
include.
leaders of the other tribes met and exiled the aggressors from the Council of the Winds. So when the Red Sash recovered from his wounds,
One thing about Hinze, in addition to Hinze being an absolute unit of he's like a short, super muscled guy. But you look at his face, he's got all this like scarring. He just has like a skin condition. There's no like mythological like story reason. He didn't like magically get a curse or something. He just has a skin condition because I thought, how often do you see a hero with a skin condition? Pretty much never. There are so many people out there that have different skin conditions. There's like basic childhood diseases that like you survive and your skin ends up like that. So Hinze just got a skin condition because I could.
The tyrant had been warned of Hinze's prowess by the shade of Gargama, whom the Red Sashes.
I like that Devonis, because again, evil god in moral form. Delvash couldn't cram him with all the knowledge that he needed. Not really. So he has all these, his head's full of like portents. So that he like can, when certain things happen, he will recognize their importance. He's like trying to program your avatar in advance.
When King Devonis saw the nomad
The portcullis shadows on his face.
He was furious, but dared not show it before the noblesse because he would lose face. So he brooded.
You lose face. That honor. Gotta watch that honor when you're trying to carefully weave together a plan that will eventually result in uniting the continent. Look at these barbarians and their crazy helmets. Not barbarians, gladiators. I used the word barbarian too much in the video already, even though I say it in the video. But they got all their gladiator helmets.
Increasingly worried.
Yeah, you should be worried, you jackass.
Unfair fight. Duke Ikoro ordered unleash the caged white dragon.
Oh, I had to draw a dragon too. No wonder this took so long. Although that scene with the shadow looks great. Dragon looks meh.
Taunted by the guards.
This half-elf looking, like older half-elf looking guy was supposed to be presented as like a nicer figure, but I needed someone to do the pain lightning thing, and I just did. I was not drawing another goddamn character.
Met the wary creature's eye.
Look how he's so muscular.
I
like that he's just like this stocky, muscular build.
Little man could grant her a release from suffering and more.
Did the elves actually become more suspicious? They became a little more suspicious. It turned out to not be that important because of all these events.
Somehow the dragon's steel-like teeth severed the manacles.
That seems like very Japanese, not even like anime necessarily, like samurai story, that there's this moment of awareness where the dragon looked into his heart, or his eyes, and saw what she really needed to do. Oh, look, the reflection in her eyes. Sad in the reflection anime, just get that nod. It's like, I know what you did, and I'm gonna make it count.
And raised the sword
against
in
this bastard up there.
King Devonis was so infuriated by Duke Ikoro's
He is the god of pride.
So prideful at his own strength, and so furious at this barbarian's insult, that he rose from his throne, as though against his will. Now all the nobles and
everyone sees.
Could see the impudent challenge, and by his own reaction,
and
knew that
the moral is, honor equals dumb. Always honor equals dumb.
His own reputation as a warrior, and so the usurper king donned his full armor.
He does look like a badass in his armor, though. I had to do that shot where his hair didn't quite fit in the helmet, so I had to make that shot work somehow. A lot of moving parts in his body there. Give that little look at it. Give that little look to the account. Wait a second. Hold on. Pause.
Zoom and enhance. Goddamn god of pride.
Dust from the impact. He stood straight after the fall, which would have killed a lesser man, and twirled his sword in a brief, understated display of
I just like that little detail. Nobody would ever notice that detail watching through the video on their own. But like, man.
All eyes were upon the two.
Oh, and this is where the audience looks cheap. In the cheap seats.
Even noticed as he collapsed.
I like he
Fate.
just suffers a heart attack. This is where like the whole video suffered a little bit, but the fight is where it really suffers from the fact that this was not written as a script; it was written as an oral story, which means that the narration, while good, sometimes it's going over details that you don't need because you can see it, and other times it's like it's leaving big gaps in the narration. Oh, you just like punch him in the helmet, has no effect except making him mad. That's not good. Yeah, oh, I spend so much time on this fight scene. There are all these parts. There's the manacles. He grabs the fragment of sword and throws it before he even lands, and it gets deflected anyway. I love when you're doing a fight scene between two people that are supposed to both be powerful, and it doesn't matter who's gonna win. I like to make them both look as... It doesn't have to look as even as possible. I just like it to look as... I want both sides to look as competent as humanly possible.
Yet he had chosen to fight each opponent, even the White Dragon, and now the Warrior King himself. Devonus did not...
Boy, do they do that here. Smashes right through that ice.
And as he strode forward, he plunged his sword into one, then another of the bodies.
I can't make it look that great, but I do love the mental imagery that he just like stabs the blade into the bodies and hurls them, and they like shriek at his blade's touch.
They had been dead for many minutes.
Not because it's an evil sword, because he's just that nasty.
As King Devonus grew closer, he suddenly
flash on the glare on the blade.
Shook the earth, the entire Winter Palace.
I love this shot. This is the most Samurai Jack thing in like everything that I've made, I think. The blade in the dirt, he sends the glowing eyes have to come in a little bit before the shadow for it to look right there. That is awesome. You know what's not as awesome? Low detail Hinze that I had to use for the jump because, I don't know. Like the normal high detail version of him was not really well posed. That looks really... I love that molten metal effect with the smithing. That looks awesome. But yeah, I would have had to redraw the whole full detail body of him to get the angle and the pose I wanted for the springing off the wall. It would have been a pain, but I did not do a good job with the proportions on the low detail version of him. It was kind of sad.
It could fulfill its duty in that moment only by breaking. And so it broke.
The sword breaking thing, even though I don't think there's anything that similar in Lord of the Rings, it feels so Lord of the Rings that the Uber Dwarf crafted the sword so well that it knew breaking, like magically knew that breaking was the way for it to succeed. Look at that gash, all the blood that's come out of it now. The reason they call him the Red Sash.
Privately cursing the craftsmanship of Morden for allowing him to be wounded so.
He knocked his mouth guard off, or chin guard, I guess.
Seemed undiminished.
The bleeding looks not bad there. Oh, his belt buckle changes every time he unlocks more of his divine power. His belt buckle changes. His belt buckle is now 100. It started as just concentric squares. It is now 100% the Delvash symbol, which means he's using, some would say, too much of his divine power is being channeled through this form.
Some obscene distortion of a weapon 3 feet in diameter and longer than 2 men's height.
That is never good though when your opponent suddenly demonstrates super strength vastly beyond anything else used in the battle. Like, holy crap.
And as the pillar rose for a third strike, Hinze leapt towards it, lashed out with the sword of Korstrad, and cracked the stone column.
Oh!
A heavy chunk of stone toppled back.
Gets crushed underneath. It's a Disney death. Oh no, it's not Disney death. He's still kicking under there. That never happens in the Disney movies.
Devonus refused to die, spouting curses that
pins that hand to the ground like a boss.
Upon all men, raving about how he would turn this palace and all
so pissed off, he's going all exorcist.
Hinze beheaded the tyrant with the sovereign sword, and silence settled over the arena.
It was like, hey, the crown wasn't attached. It was a crown worn on the helmet. Important detail.
Despite a peasant's movement to crown him,
yeah, thanks, fake name. Delvash does have a strong Witch King look going on.
King Monorail.
Oh, look at that little air. And Hinze, he has the same sash from before, but they dyed it red now to match that wound.
Lived and hunted for centuries, at peace with the elves
Everyone
and
start
with
calling him the
three
red
brother
sash.
nations. Though to this
The map
day
parts
they
look so
still
ghetto,
call
it's kind of like
barbarian.
disappointing. And yeah, they got the
Ever
cheapo
since
like
the
chitties.
passing of the red sash, Hinze
The memorial
spread
Inukshuk
the
thing,
Hinze,
that's pretty cool. The
an
stocky
honorable
with like
warrior
the
who restored order to Khor's
painted to
realm
look like
and
his
cemented
his
peace
wound.
between the tribes and the city
That's
governors.
pretty epic. Yeah. This video is uneven. There are a lot of parts of it that I'm not super happy with, but overall, very proud of it. The combat was pretty goddamn impressive for something I did. Oh man. And it has full credits with like the organization sliding by, because there's so many of you people who are willing to put money into helping you do this. It's cool. I like that little fight too. There's a lot of like good little action moments there. Okay, wait. We gotta shift. I gotta slow this one down because otherwise there's not enough time to comment on it. Which means the audio is gonna sound terrible. Sorry, but yeah, I tried because when I was stylizing this thing, I had like a vision for what I wanted to look like, but I came up with this idea of having it just keep scrolling in the same direction. That is a remarkably effective, like, 2-second love scene, given my art style. Like, the shadowing really actually helps. And then almost the same scene where he's like, where they are crying over the maiden. Then I had to stop the scrolling for this scene though. And that fire looks crappy, and I knew it looked crappy at the time, but I was like, I was in the middle of an episode, and I had to move it along. It's pretty good in the battle scenes. Oh, they're getting wounded. And then, sneaky arrows in the back. What jerk is shooting me in the back? Arrows. And grab the guy, use him as a human shield, throw him into the air. That's good stuff. And oh, you thought you won? Nope. One of the problems with this thing is that like a third of the video is just talking to Asmodeus, maybe even closer to half. I had to figure out how to make it look a little bit less static, but the scrolling also wouldn't have worked well for this. I had to play around with colors and moving the symbol that I'm using for Delvash's head. Not Delvash, sorry, I'm stuck on Delvash from the last video. Asmodeus. Echo at 50% speed. But yeah. Yeah, it's kind of lame having to do all this stuff to just like liven up the scene where there's just Asmodeus making a deal. Although the burning away the wounds is kind of cool. Back to scrolling. Scrolling is where it's good. Look at it, they've got like the samurai armor now. I like that chain transition. But yeah. Scrolling. Oh, that's unfortunate. Oh. Maybe you shouldn't. One does wonder, like, why was the spirit involved in this whole stupid thing? You don't think Asmodeus could have been involved in that too, eh? Who knows? Burning through the village. Got that crazy spike chain, which I was working out because I was making this as part of the same episode where I was going to tell this story. Just split it off as its own video because I did put a lot of work into it. I like helping the horse there. This was a problem because of the way that the story is told. There's so little space in the words to say like, and did good deeds during a good day. How do you show doing good deeds? Apparently, during the day, tried to do good, just turned into try to chop wood, basically. I don't know, that's a good deed, right? Helping people out or something. You've got this slime, even though it's just a silhouette, doesn't that look like a slimy dude? Just with that haircut and that suspiciously Asmodeus colored triangular eyes. Oh, that's not good. Watching your friend, like, what appears to be committing something bad on civilians. Whoever this guy was, he had a lot of balls, though. He had to know that this wasn't, like, a good fight for him, but he just couldn't stand by and let this evil persist, especially knowing it was his own friend. He couldn't just, like, let it go.
They were an almost unparalleled warrior. They defended themselves.
Oh, I like that too. That the punching away the sword as a block and then following through and just punching him in the face. But like, this is your one and only friend after you lost the only other person in your life you cared about. Faces the moral decision. And it's just an unfortunate situation, because it's not like guy on the ground is necessarily wrong. Oh, look at that! He's hugging his dead friend. Oh, they're all sad. You know who's not sad right now? This asshole. Laughing to the bank, all the way to the bank. That suspiciously colored teleportation. And now we've got the Headless Horseman in full. Some parts of this look really good. The stylized thing worked for that, okay. Oh man. I was talking about the great heroes when I show it just worked out. I had to talk about the heroes at the end. I didn't have a visual for it. It was like the great heroes of the organization. Thank you so much for funding these videos. Along with all the other patrons who are not paying quite as ridiculous amount. But yeah. Oh my god. Yeah, thank you, Wilco, for the congratulations on 10k subs. I've actually had 10k subs for a few months now because I don't grow all that fast. But I got somewhere. Got you an arbitrary number. And that's basically it for the Legends videos, except that in about 4 minutes, plus the 2-minute enforced YouTube countdown, we're going to have one more brand new video. It's going to be about 4 minutes long, plus a minute of credits. At full speed. It does have a seizure warning, so if you have light-sensitive epileptics, if you're prone to light-sensitive epileptic seizures, I'm sorry, you should probably not watch the new video, but this, I don't know how this, if I'm going to hit end stream, and it should dump you guys out into the premiere chat right now, so let's see how that works. For everyone else who is just watching this later on, thanks for watching this. I hope this commentary was remotely useful. If you want more information, most of these legends have their own extras videos on my channel. I'll see you next time.